Hi, my name is Katja Brundiers, and I'm the co-lead of the Transformational Sustainability Science Group here at the University of Freiburg. Welcome to the Evidence from the Field series. Today, we hear quite a unique story about how a first-time transdisciplinary interface manager helped a city change the status quo in their engagements on sustainability with scientists from the local university. Instead of responding to researchers' requests for projects, the transdisciplinary interface manager started, in fact, to set up a transdisciplinary interface from within the city. And this allowed setting the ground for developing programmatic approaches to city-university partnerships and sustainability projects. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Braden Kay, and I'm currently at the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation at the state of California. Previous to that, I was the Sustainability and Resilience Director in the city of Tempe, Arizona for 7 years. And previous to that, I got a PhD at Arizona State University School of Sustainability. While I was at the School of Sustainability, I had the privilege of working with Dr. Arnon Week and Dr. Katja Brunders. And through the experience of several different partnerships that we had, including with the city of Phoenix, I learned how to become a TIM, a Transdisciplinary Interface Manager. And we worked a lot on how to produce high-quality city-university partnerships that eventually evolved into a city-university community partnerships. And so the story that I'm going to talk about today really has to do with once I went to the city of Tempe, even though I'd had all this experience in city-university partnerships while at Arizona State University, the vast majority of those, or basically none of them, were with the city of Tempe itself, which is a suburb of the city of Phoenix. We had mostly been working with the city of Phoenix, but then there was an opportunity to start a brand new sustainability program at Arizona State University, partially actually funded by the university. And so for the first 2 years that I was there, I had funding from the city and I had funding from the university, which really set up me to be a TIM, someone who was bringing the knowledge of the university, best practices, research, student efforts into the city to meet climate and sustainability goals. So when I first got to the city, they had not had a TIM before. The sort of status quo of the work was a professor would have a research proposal that they would want to put together. They would need one or more cities to be involved, and they would come often through the mayor's office with a request to do some sort of partnership that was solely based on that particular project. And then the mayor would go to the appropriate department where that topic was discussed. So whether it was wastewater treatment would go to the water division of the Public Works Department, a transportation project would go to the transportation division of the Public Works Department, a parks related project would go to parks, a human services, homelessness project would go to the human services department. So, and that relationship was really based on sort of what that professor was trying to get out of the city. So it was very much tended to be a extractive process. There were some times when the city would decide they had a need, and then they would go into the university and try to figure out who would be in the university. But there wasn't a person to help support that exchange and then to support making high quality projects once it was decided that a partnership would exist. So immediately upon coming to the city, I had an opportunity to have a small amount of funding from the National League of Cities to work with Dr. Arnon Week and Dr. Lauren Withacombe-Keeler on an initial exercise to work on how the city should be approaching climate resilience. Climate resilience had started and be dealing with the shocks of climate change started to come up more as a theme in cities. But a lot of small and mid-sized cities like Tempe didn't have anyone to do that work or to support that work. So Dr. Week and Dr. Lauren Withycombe-Keeler came up with a facilitated exercise called Future Shocks and City Resilience that we played. It was a facilitated game that we did with 40 of the biggest, most important decision makers at the city, including the police chief, the fire chief, the public works director. And this exercise helped us think about how is the city preparing for the shocks that may come ahead. And it was a really great opportunity to have the university come in and bring their ideas about what kind of shocks could happen in the future, and have the city come in and start to think about what those shocks could be. So this was a great example of a very initial TIM type of activity where we're bringing university partners and city partners into the room to have discussions around, what is the city doing, what about these potential shocks, what potential partnerships could be employed to deal with these challenges. And one of the things that we initially learned through that challenge was that extreme heat was the shock that made the most sense for city officials to work on, and it was the easiest way for them to wrap their head around how to deal with future shocks. Some cities were more sophisticated and able to do flooding and cybersecurity and pandemics and all of these shocks at once. And it was very clear to us that heat was an entry point where we could work on that shock because it was something that was getting worse and happened every summer. That could potentially get us used to dealing with all sorts of shocks in the future. And so I think I tell this first story just to understand when we started this new endeavor, we made sure that we had a facilitated conversation at the very beginning about the types of projects that we could be working on, about the types of partnerships that might be possible. And that was really the ground setting for the next 7 years of work that we did.
Thank you, Braden, so much for sharing your story. To our viewers, we hope you enjoyed the story of launching the transdisciplinary interface between the city and the university. Braden's experience of knowing how the university works on the one hand and how the city works on the other hand really helped in connecting city staff and scientists with each other and facilitating a shared discussion that ultimately identify the joint research pathway forward on a key sustainability challenge, which is building resilience to extreme heat. Stay tuned for the next phase of Braden's story of building a transdisciplinary interface within a city.